Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about ascension and how to break some loops. Okay? So a lot of times we'll see that we're on this same loop, this same pattern. And what you need to do to break that loop and to ascend is identify the root of the problem. Sometimes that is yourself, and sometimes it is because you are connected to someone who keeps looping around, and so you're on their emotional loop because they just won't heal themselves. All right, now if you look at the Hawkins scale of consciousness, you'll notice that shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear are all very low vibrational frequencies. And it's identified as hell, okay? Not a fun place to be. No one wants to live in shame, guilt, fear, apathy, all right? So how can we try to break loops and have inner healing, right? And break loops? Well, you have to identify. It's very hard to do. You have to identify what is causing the problem, and if it is something within yourself, right, then you have to face it and break it. So when behaviors, some people run from guilt and shame. They say, oh, I'm going to ignore it, and by ignoring it, I'm going to ascend into the higher regions, they're going to ascend to higher things, right? And really, those are just band-aids, okay? Ultimately, we all just want to be loved, right? And when we don't receive the love of another, a lot of times we attack that person. But you gotta look at it from all angles. And sometimes we attack the other person and we don't look at ourselves. So, what are some of the things that we could be that bring us back into this loop, right? Because band-aids only last so long. Like for instance, some people use different addictive patterns, such as alcohol, drugs, whatever, to ban even relationships, going from one relationship to the next as band-aids, rather than just fixing the problem within themselves. So what you really need to do is think about the things that are causing the guilt and shame. Those are like your skeletons in the closet, right? Is there something about you that you don't want other people to know about? See, because a healthy relationship has to be authentic, right? And that means between you and other people, a lot of time when you're in a relationship, you're not really authentic. A long-term relationship, everyone can wear a mask for so long, but eventually the mask comes off and there you are, right? There's the real you. And that's why a lot of people can't be in long-term relationships. So what you got to do is you got to look at yourself in the mirror, take off that mask. Look at the skeletons in the closet. What are the things that cause the guilt and shame? And then address it, okay? So a lot of people, they hide from guilt and shame. That is their temporary band-aid. But if you stop and you look at it, then you could start to expand your consciousness, all right? So for instance, you go to a doctor, right? Maybe some of you have heard this, and the person says, hey, every time I do this, I poke myself right here, it hurts. And the doctor says, well, then stop poking yourself there. Problem solved, right? Stop poking yourself and then it won't hurt. Well, that's actually just kind of, that's like a placebo, okay? It doesn't take away the fact that there really is something under the surface that needs to be exposed, all right? And if we as individuals don't take the time to really examine what is painful, then life has a way of crushing it out of us, okay? So, and you know, because you're going to continue self-sabotaging yourself. A lot of times people might put that mirror in your face, and you don't want to look in the mirror. You don't want to hear what other people have to say about you. And so you might lash out. But if we stop for a moment and maybe lend an ear to what other people have to say and process that, then it could help us to advance. Okay, so I'm going to talk about one of my skeletons in the closet, and that is, you know, it's what has prevented me from advancing. Okay, I tend to be a little, just to put it out there, I'm gonna put it as ugly, the ugliest word you have ever heard for this particular problem that I have, and that is, sometimes I can be lazy. Okay, I can just not want to do something, and I can give myself all kinds of excuses why I don't want to do it, and but you still got to push through it. And I'm going to tell you that yes, that's a pretty shameful thing, right? To be lazy. But I have not been very consistent in posting videos, for example. All right, and so and what is one of the reasons why people tend to be lazy? It's because of the lack of chemicals. You know, you need a positive feedback. Everyone needs that Scooby snack. Everyone needs that that little dopamine hit when you do something, right? And I have been on YouTube for a long time, and you know, I just don't get a whole lot of dopamine hits. So it gives you very little motivation to continue to do the work that you feel called to do. And so, yes, there has to be a positive feedback loop, all right? Positive energy exchange. So I put out good content, it's received well, then I feel encouraged to do it again, right? And so, yes, that would definitely be something that would encourage me to continue putting out more content. So if you don't mind, hey, hit that like button. It's important, okay? It's important. But yes, I guess I need to find a different way. And so I'm doing my think tank here live. Well, it's not live, this is recorded, but I'm doing a think tank. What can I do for a dopamine hit, and knowing that I did something and I wasn't lazy, I actually did do it. So what could be my dopamine hit? Well, I guess I could just, it could be the number of videos that I produce. How about that? And so here we are on the 11/11 portal, for those of you who don't know, 11/11. And today is my first video of the year. So how about this? To give myself my own dopamine hit, I will say my goal is to post 100 videos this year. That would be, about one every 3.5 days. That's 2 a week, right? Roughly. I can do that. Surely I can do that. So there you go. That could be my dopamine hit, knowing that I was faithful to a behavior and to a plan of action. And hopefully, just hopefully, hopefully it will be enough to get me through. But if you really like good content, then please hit the like button. I do have a lot of other things that I could do and talk about, and that just happens to be the topic today. When you're dealing with someone else, now that is our inner healing, right? But what if you're dealing with somebody and you're in a relationship and they don't give you that dopamine hit, right? They are stingy with their affection. They don't know how to say a kind word to you. They, then they're energy vampires. If you continue to pour energy into them and they don't do anything in return, then you're going to have to let it go, right? You're going to have to let that person go. So until they figure out how to do a positive energy exchange. Anyway, that's all I had to say today. Yes, break the loop. So many people are afraid of guilt and shame. Right? They are. But if you want to expand your consciousness, you got to look at what causes your guilt and shame and face it. And if it's something that is disgusting, a behavior of yours that is, that you don't want other people to know because it's disgusting, then maybe you should address it. Yes, I can be lazy, all right? And so here's what I'll do. I'm going to write a piece on a piece of paper and with 100 lines and the title of every video I make. So it's like boom, 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 boom until I get 100 titles, and then I'll be like, yay, right? Well, everyone will be a small check mark, and that's part of it. You've got to have those baby steps, right? You have to do baby steps. A lot of times I will come in with all of this energy, and then I'm just drained. I don't have any more for anything, and I'm just wiped out for, I don't know, maybe a month or two. I was like, oh, I don't care. It's done. But I know on YouTube, for the algorithms to work to your benefit, you have to be more consistent than that. And so if you want to work with YouTube's algorithms, then you do need to be more consistent. And plus, people need you to be consistent. And so, a video twice a week, that sounds like a good goal. All right, so that's it. Face your shame. All right, face the guilt that you have, what the things that you are ashamed of, and then address it. Okay. Well, anyway, my name is Wendy, and we're all living in the winds of change.